Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's me, Niall, here giving a review of what we've just seen from London, England, Wembley Stadium, as Lawrence OKOLIE has returned to the ring with a wide points win over 10 rounds against South Africa's Kevin Lerena. And yeah, job done performance in a fight that was expected to be a test, a big test in fact, for Lawrence Okoli, now up a heavyweight, of course, former cruiserweight and bridgerweight world champion, but he passed it with flying colours. It wasn't the most entertaining victory, but job done against a really tricky operator for anybody. So, yeah, I'll be giving my thoughts on the fight, how I thought, what I rated the performance of Lawrence Okoli, and what might be next. So yeah, before we get into things, please don't forget to first of all drop a like on the video if you enjoy our content, and also if you're not doing so already, subscribe to our YouTube channel at ESBR Boxing. Always great content on a regular basis. So yeah, like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on all social media. So yeah, Lawrence Okoli gets the job done, returns to the ring, and yeah, it was an impressive performance from Lawrence Okoli, in my opinion, by Lawrence Okoli standards. This, as I said, was seen as a tough test against a really tricky, capable southpaw. Quick, dangerous puncher, Kevin Lerena. I actually picked him to win this fight, and I know a few other people did as well. But Lawrence Okoli, right from the first bell of this fight, just controlled everything. He got his jab going, that long, rangy jab. Good shot selection to head and body. I particularly liked the straight right to the body, which he had going all night. I thought it was really effective, right to the breadbasket of Kevin Lerena. And it did have an effect. It didn't have a massive effect, but it clearly kind of prevented Lorena from doing what he needed to do. Let's not get it wrong. As much as dangerous as it was thought to be for Lorena, it was an underwhelming performance. As dangerous as Lorena was meant to be, should I say, it was an underwhelming performance. Very flat-footed, one-dimensional. No feints, no real level changes. No idea. It looked devoid of ideas for a lot of that fight. He had brief moments of success when he did let his hands go and close the distance, but he looked out of ideas most of the time of how to close the distance. Yeah, and just no head movement, very flat feet, as I say, and it was underwhelming. But let's, give Lawrence Okoli all the credit in the world for not allowing him to get into that rhythm, not allowing him to set his own kind of quick tempo in that one, with how he dictated the pace from the start, as I say. Just he threw more shots than we usually see him throw. And I thought he looked good. I thought he looked good on his feet. His hands were quick, and as I say, he put his shots together really well. The straight right hand, the head and body, the uppercut, the hooks to the body. They were having an effect on Lorena. Lorena wasn't overly buzzed by them, but you could see even when they were catching arms, catching gloves, he was making Lorena wary of coming forward. So you have to give him credit for that. He gets a lot of flack, Lawrence Okoli, a lot of time, probably justifiably, but he is what he is. By Okoli standards, it was a good performance. He's never going to set the world alight, but he's effective in what he does. He really is. That range and that awkwardness and the power, he is effective for a lot of heavyweights. He's big now. He's very big. 262 is what he came in for this fight, I believe. A lot bigger. I know he was a cruiserweight before, but he's gotten very big for heavyweight. A lot of people thought that'd be to his detriment, but he boxed at a good pace there for, by his own standards, a decent pace for 10 rounds, a comfortable pace, should I say. And yeah, maybe this is the perfect way for him. The holding, a real trademark of Lawrence Okolie's over the years. It's still very egregious when it does happen, and when Lorena did close the distance, there was a lot of blatant holding, which is frustrating. But it does the job against a lot of people. So yeah, job done for Lawrence Okoli. He won 9 rounds out of 10 there for me. Takes a unanimous decision win on the judges' scorecards. Justifiably so, rightly so. And yeah, job done against a fighter that was supposed to be a threat for him. So he moves on now, Lawrence Okoli. Yeah, he moves on to big fights. You'd imagine he's the WBC silver champion now. He's highly ranked with the WBC. So you'd imagine that he's going to fight a fringe world level contender. I know there was talks, there is interest and options. There's talks of maybe going to Germany in the autumn to face Adjikabiel, who's riding an absolute wave of momentum at the minute. That'd be a really interesting fight. How would Cabiel deal with the style, the range, the awkwardness of a Coley and the power? But Cabiel, I think, is stylistically perfect to kind of not expose a Coley, but make him look. He's a disastrous stylistic opponent for Lawrence Coley in terms of his quick feet, his lateral movement to get in and out, to avoid the right hand, to get inside the jab, his quick hands to get his work off when he's in there and get back out, not to get greedy with it. I think Adjikabiel is a really, really top fighter. So I think if that did happen next, I think Adjikabiel would yeah, would nullify what Lawrence Okoli has. But Lawrence Okoli is dangerous, As I say, he's not a fan-friendly fighter, but he's effective and he's a destructive puncher. He didn't really dent Lorena tonight in terms of having him visibly hurt, but the shots, particularly to the body, made Lorena wary of coming forward. So, yeah, Lawrence Okoli, he's not unbeatable as we've seen against Chris Billum-Smith. When it goes wrong, it goes really wrong. It's just about having the right type of opponent to kind of expose that style and can nullify the holding inside. Whether it be the strength of Billum-Smith, someone like a Billum-Smith, or Cabiel, as I say, is the one who's just, yeah, he's too quick, his footwork is too quick, both laterally and in and out, and his hand speed is, so I think he'd have the better Lawrence Okoli there. But there's other interesting options. There's the likes of an Effie Ajagba, maybe, who's also highly ranked with the WBC. Be a good option for Coley. There's Michael Hunter, who still holds a world ranking for some strange reason. But yeah, there is names, interesting names that I would like to see Lawrence Okoli in with. He's not, as I say, he's not kind of a fighter that's must see, but it is what it is. It's his style, and for the most part, it is effective, and it was effective tonight. I thought he looked good. I really did. I was impressed with Lawrence Okoli. As I said, I thought he'd lose coming into this. So as dull as it might be, as boring as it might be, got the job done against a tricky, quick southpaw and Kevin Lorena. So yeah, that was just my quick review of Lawrence Okoli's return to the ring and his continuation of his heavyweight career as he's widely outpointed the tricky southpaw South African Kevin Lorena over 10 rounds at Wembley Stadium across the big undercard co-main event to the huge undisputed heavyweight title fight between Daniel Dubois and Alexander Usyk. So yeah, job done for Coley. He'll be happy with that performance, you'd imagine. And big fights are on the horizon now. He needs to remain active. He's been pretty dreadfully inactive for the last kind of year or so. So yeah, keep him in, keep him busy, keep him fresh. And yeah, big fights on the way. So let us know what you think of that performance from Lawrence Okoli. Were you impressed? Were you impressed as I was? Did you think Lorraine, were you underwhelmed with Kevin Lorena's performance? Let us know what you think. And as always, don't forget, as I said at the start of the video, to drop a like on the video if you enjoy the content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at ESBR Boxing and follow us on all social media platforms. Until next time, take care.